Thank you. That song of being a vessel, when I come here on a Sunday morning, especially when I'm going to do the speaking, I kind of have a little talk with God and myself on the way and just say, I've prepared for this pretty well, and now my ego, take a back seat and just let Spirit speak in the end. I think we're on the same track there, so. Okay, all right.
Let's get it down so we can see your beautiful face.
Oh, that's very important. So thank you, Reverend Debbie. Thank you for the reading, Brent, and for your sharing your challenges these days with the move, etc., and of course for the music. And thank you for being here on this frigid day. So this is the month of December, and our theme at Center for Spiritual Living Minneapolis in December is the gifts of the holy days. And we're not the only ones that celebrate during this time of year. You've got a lot of people celebrating things like Ramadan and Hanukkah, stuff like that. But everybody seems to have this time of year that are special, and they call them holy days. So what we're going to do in the month of December is we're going, and Debbie mentioned it, we're going to celebrate the gifts of joy and peace and power. I was texting back and forth. I've got a friend, I don't know if you know the gal from Baton Rouge, Larry Marie, and she texted this morning, and she said, she texted 12:45 this morning, and she said, my message is on the flow of joy. So I'm sure we're kind of all on the same track. So that's what we're talking about. And when I talk about joy, I'm not talking about happiness, like happiness when the Vikings win, and they'll win again someday. But I'm talking about that joy that comes from within, that we can tap into anytime, no matter what circumstances are. Same with peace. We're not talking about just peace when everything is calm and okay in our lives. We're talking about that peace that passes all understanding. No matter what is going on in the world or in our lives, we can tap into that peace within. And then we're talking about spiritual power, that power that I called on this morning as I drove in here, that power that comes from being a vessel, opening up to the power that created everything and everyone, and knowing we can use it anytime, we can tap into it anytime. So there's a couple quotes I want to share with you regarding these three gifts: joy, peace, and power. Joy, there's a quote by a prophet named Zephaniah. Zephaniah is the fourth to the last Old Testament book, and he was a prophet, and like a lot of prophets, he was mad at everybody, and he was trying to shake everybody up. He was pounding his fist, telling the Israelites what they had done wrong, and things are going to be tough for you, and you're going to suffer for this, and the city of Jerusalem is doomed, and this is what these prophets kind of did. But then he looked out further. He looked to the future a little further, and he said this: the Lord your God is in the midst of you, will make you to rejoice with gladness. He will renew you with his love. He will make you joyful with praise, as in the day of a feast. You'll be as happy as you are on Thanksgiving or Christmas. So that's the kind of joy we're talking about, that inward joy that nobody can take from us, and we don't have to wait for something good in the outer world to happen. And we move on to peace. Ernest Holmes wrote a book called Keys to Wisdom. And he said in that book, peace is the power at the heart of God. We should draw closer to this divine presence to the realization of this eternal peace, which must finally triumph over all. And I think he's talking about eventually all of us will experience this peace. And he again is quoted regarding power. This is from the Science of Mind textbook. He says, we have within us a power which is greater than anything we shall ever contact, a power that can overcome every obstacle in our experience and set us safe, satisfied, healed, and prospered in a new light for a new life. Is God before us? Who can be against us? So these are just kind of quotes to nail down this idea of these gifts of joy and peace and power. And during the month, we're going to be talking about, and I think Debbie mentioned this too, about receiving, being, giving, and creating these gifts. Now, today, my task is to talk about receiving these gifts. And the reality is, we don't have to wait to receive a gift. We have these gifts within us already. They're in us. And the key is for us to tap into them. And I think in the reading they talked about the tap, turning on the tap to our goodness. And that's ours to do, to receive. We have to turn on this tap. And I'm just going to give you a little picture of, let's just say you were born in the woods, raised in the woods, you're 20 years old, you've never been out of the woods. You walk into town, you're kind of thirsty, you knock on somebody's door, the lady answers the door and you say, I'm kind of thirsty. Could I have a drink? Can I have some water? She says, sure, just go in the kitchen, sink is right there. So he goes in the kitchen, he looks at the sink, he's like, I don't see any water. The water could have been millions of miles away. He didn't know that, indeed, he had to turn on the tap to get the water. And that's what we have to do. We have to tap into, we have to be open to receive the good that is there for us. Again, from Holmes' Keys to the Kingdom, he says, prayer and meditation are for the purpose of unifying in consciousness with that principle with which we are already spiritually unified. It is already within us. Because that principle awaits our conscious cooperation with it. It awaits us to turn on that tap and receive it. So today we're talking about this, consciously choosing joy and peace and power. And like the guy in the woods, we have to remember to turn on that tap. So one of the ways I think that we can remember that is think of that idea. Think of walking in from the woods and knowing that you just don't go to the kitchen and see water, you turn the tap on. So we're going to talk about this, and then at the end of my message today, we're going to do a little experiential exercise, kind of a guided meditation. So I'm going to start out with joy. We can experience the joy from within regardless of what's going on in our life. No matter what the circumstances are. You know, we live in a world of harmony. This earth that we live in was made perfectly, and it's for us to enjoy limitless potential, limitless capacity. That's for us. And the thing is, we got to tune into it. We've got to turn that tap on. No matter what the challenges are, we've actually got a reason to be joyous all the time because that joy is within us. And one of the things I'm just going to mention that sometimes we get down, right? You come home from work and you've had a kind of a stressful day and things haven't been going right and you've been kind of letting your mind go down that slippery slope of poor me and why is everybody such a jerk and what's with this traffic and where's my dinner, I'm hungry, whatever. You're just going down that slippery slope. Your mind isn't giving you the good stuff. And one of the things that I found over the years, and I particularly did this when I was raising two teenagers, and I was alone, I was starting out as a stockbroker, and sometimes I was just like down. And I found that if I walked out of the door and took a walk, when I came back I felt better. And I wasn't walking on a beautiful path in nature. I was walking on not the sidewalks. We didn't have sidewalks in Northeast. We had streets. So I'm walking down the streets, up and down the streets in Northeast Minneapolis. And it it's a nice area. And the neighbors were out there mowing their lawns and walking their dogs, and the birds are singing, and I'm walking, This is part of it, just getting the body moving. And inevitably, never failed. By the time I got home from a walk, miraculously, I felt better. I'm just giving you a clue. If you ever are down like that, that is kind of a surefire way to pull you out. Another way, I think, is to pick up the phone and call somebody, and I think not necessarily call somebody and say, oh boy, do you have to cheer me up, but maybe call somebody that you think needs cheering up. So I was just thinking about you, how are you doing? And when you end up that phone call, I think you will have come out of that unpleasant feeling. So Thich Nhat Hanh, who's a Buddhist monk, says this: sometimes your joy is the source of your smile. Sometimes your smile can be the source of your joy. Sometimes we have to take a risk and smile and know things are going to be well. And one of the affirmations that's recommended is this, and I kind of like this: today I have fun and God laughs by means of me. That's how God expresses on our earth plane through each of us. And I think there's nothing wrong with laughter. Last night I was writing out a few Christmas cards, and I don't like to necessarily listen to Christmas music, but I told Alexa to play the Andrews Sisters. Now, some of you don't know the Andrews Sisters, most of you do, and I'm telling you, it lifted my spirits so much I had to put my pen down and I had to do a little jitterbugging along the way to in the mood. Things like this can lift our moods. Let's not forget we have to be part of this. And I think rather than listening to Christmas music, I think God was very happy to watch me jitterbugging around my living room. So in this holiday season, let's think about how we can accelerate our joy. Let's move on to peace. There's a place within you where there's perfect peace and nothing is impossible. That's our gift. That's given to us. Our higher self is always promoting peace. And if there's a question in your mind, is this the ego talking to me, or is this my higher self talking? You ask yourself this question: will this bring peace or turmoil into my life? Pretty easy, and you kind of know the answer. Should I be thinking about this having something bad happen to this person because they're bad to me, they hurt me? Wouldn't it be great if they blah, blah, blah? No, that doesn't bring peace. That is not where we want to go. Course of Miracles says, I must have chosen wrongly because I'm not at peace. If we make a wrong decision, we can know it by how much we feel at peace. And how do I get over this and return to peace? That's a good question too. And Jesus, I just love this verse. Jesus said, peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. That just, to me, that is a beautiful mantra to keep in mind and be comforted and know that that peace is always there, that gift is always there for you. So who in their life had turmoil like Jesus? He kind of knew what the people that were laying for him, and he kind of knew what his mission was, what a way to live, and yet he probably more than anybody else taught the world how to be at peace. I want to just share one other thing that I've experienced in my life, and that is when my dad died. This was 1987. 4 of us sisters went to my mom's house, and we did what you do. You write the thank you cards, and we went through the closets, and we each took a momentum. We, just helped her get ready to face life on her own. And a couple years later, I said to her, Mom, when Dad died, you didn't seem to go through that horrible ashen time like a lot of your sisters, sister-in-laws, and friends did. I mean, let's face it, they're all widows about that time. And so she had a lot of friends and relatives who were widows, and many of them, at the death of this husband that they'd spent so much time with, this is in farm country, a lot of these women were with their husbands, as my mom was, 24/7. They spent a lot of time, and then all of a sudden, their husband is gone, and these women really had a hard time. They looked horrible for years. I said to Mom, I don't think you went through that, did you? And she said, and this is my mom. She didn't tell me until I prodded a little bit. She said, when you guys left that day, week after Dad died, I'm all alone in the house for the first time. She says, I'm walking from the kitchen into the living room, and she said, I just stopped and I said out loud, what am I going to do now? And she said, a peace came over me. And she said, I thought right away, this is the peace that passes all understanding. She said, it just was a wave that just blew me away. And she didn't say blow me away, but it was a peace that she had, like she had never felt before. And she said, it never went away. That peace stayed with me. And I think to myself, we can all have that. That's a gift that we have. So let's move on to power. It's been said that when the knowledge of your power outweighs fear of the condition, life begins. When power outweighs fear, life begins. You ever have a feeling like that where you've been carrying something around and all of a sudden you have a change of mind, maybe somebody is there to help you or something, and the light comes on and you think, well, I can do this. What a wonderful feeling that is. What a powerful feeling that is. Holmes says in Science of Mind magazine, or the textbook, he says, just so far as we depend upon any condition, past, present, or future, we are creating chaos. We don't want to depend on any condition because we are then dealing with effects and not causes. Could we but comprehend the fact that there's a power that makes things directly out of itself by simply becoming the thing it makes? Could we but grasp this greatest truth about life and realize that we're dealing with a principle, scientifically correct and eternally present, we could accomplish whatever it is possible for us to conceive. That is the truth, and those are the words of Ernest Holmes. I'm going to share with you a parable about inner power. And it goes like this. There's a seeker climbing a sacred mountain, and all she had was a lamp in her hand. And it was dark, and it was scary. And about halfway up, she heard this whisper, and it says, "Turn back, you are alone." She's like, oh my gosh, she's so scared. She was shaking with fear, but then she remembered the words of her teacher. Her teacher said, "Light does not ask the darkness to leave. It simply shines, and the darkness has no choice." So what she did is she took a deep breath, and she put that lamp in front of her, and she could see like a couple steps in front of her, which she took. And that was enough. And then as her fears faded, she heard this other voice from within, and it says, "You are never alone when you carry your own light." And we all do that. We all carry our own light. So she gets to the summit, but not because the path was less dark, it was because the light in her was stronger than her fear. So I think that's a really good example of how we can touch into that power that's within us. So again, how are we turning that tap on to get that power, particularly at this holiday time? And you know, you see the ads, you look at the magazines, you watch the movies, and I mean, I hate to say it, but I do watch some of those Hallmark movies. These houses, you can almost smell the cookies. Everything is just perfect. My house isn't perfect. I don't think I've got a decoration up. I do have a little Andrew Sisters music going. That's cheerful, but I just think that there's a lot of pressure kind of put on our society because we're all kind of geared, and we're kind of moved to think that you're supposed to have this Hallmark house. You're supposed to be loving. Your family is supposed to all love each other and be kind to each other, and everybody's supposed to be generous and kind and cooperative. And you realize that isn't the way it is in my family. And so I think this is a good time of year for us, knowing what we know, that these gifts are inside of us, to take advantage of it and not bemoan the fact that we don't live in a Hallmark house, that we have that Hallmark house within us. We have all the joy and peace and power that we can want. So I want to end and just remind you of that power is within you. And I'm going to do a guided meditation, and that is, I'll have you close your eyes and relax if you choose to, and walk you through this scenario. And remember what I said about the gifts of joy and peace and power. So, and the tap. Well, instead of the tap, I'm thinking about a shower. Okay, having this joy and peace and power showering upon you. And in my mind, I take this shower outdoors. It's in a beautiful, warm, lovely place, and I'm just open to all that goodness that's showering upon me. You do it anyway. You can be in your shower in your bathtub if you want to. You can be dressed or you can be undressed, whatever way you choose to accept these gifts. But let's just take a deep breath. Relax and know that we are deciding right here and right now to be open to these gifts that are freely given, freely showered down upon us. And let's just visualize ourselves in this state where we're just open to receiving the good that is showering down upon us from this tap, wherever it's coming from. Power, peace, and joy. And the first thing that's happening, it's washing away anything that doesn't serve us. Washing away any of those old messages, not good enough, not young enough, not old enough, not smart enough, not enough time. It's washing away some of the messages we might have gotten in our younger years. You'll never amount to anything. Just wash that stuff away. You're too big for your britches. Wash it away. Who do you think you are? Wash it away. Just let any of those words that you took to heart that have diminished you, let this beautiful shower of joy and peace and power, just let that all wash away till you're like a empty slate. Now that you're cleansed of that negativity, just be aware to be open to the all good washing over you, that all good, that joy that comes from within. No matter what's going on around you, you can tap into that joy in your life, wherever, whenever. And the same with peace that passes all understanding. Whatever is going on, the circumstances, it doesn't matter. We are open to our peace and we claim it. And the power that we have is the same power that created everything and everyone in our world. That power, that creator, that light, that power is within each of us. We can tap into it and do what we need to do. So I would just invite you to just allow yourself a moment to just bask in this goodness, bask in this blessing, this gift of joy, of peace, and of power, freely given, freely given. Just let it imbue you, envelop you, love you. And I would invite you to bring your consciousness back to this time and place, and I would invite you to stay in a bit of a meditative state while I speak to you a short spiritual mind treatment. And I know there is that one power in the universe, including the joy and the peace and the power of which we've spoken this morning. I know that power has the perfect solution to any perceived dilemma in life, and I know that very light is within. I am united with it. The very creator that created everything experiences life in, through, and as its creation, and I am one with it. I can tap into it anytime I want to. So I declare right here and right now, I am open to these gifts. I'm grateful for these gifts of peace. Peace that passes all understanding, the joy that is within me, no matter what the circumstances in life are, and the very power of spirit for me to make a difference in my life and the lives around me. I'm grateful that this is the way the law works. I am grateful that a gift is freely given. We simply need to turn on that tap. And I release these words and say, so it is.